That's how I'm gonna start it. It's been a long week, man.
Yes.
It's another long week.
It's going to be, the next 2 days are going to be, well, today and tomorrow for us.
Well, no,
It's gonna be
because
busy.
like I said, at least we kept mentioning it before that every time we record, we have fun. We're
That's
good.
True. We're good.
Yes.
This
it's
is
the
fun.
This is great, all right? There's no pressure. No, but it's like everything before coming in to record.
Yeah.
That's the issue. It's like, do I want to live my life or do I just want to come and record? Sometimes I just wish I didn't and we could just jump straight into here.
Right?
And that's it.
Isn't it just easy to we could just like record whenever we want and not plan it out?
That's the plan, man. We have this massive plan. We have like a 2-year plan, hopefully, if everything goes well, to essentially, hopefully maybe one day do this at our own place and, get some sort of monetary value out of it so that we can, focus some time on here and, actually dedicate ourselves to it. Because not that we don't dedicate ourselves to it, but it's just hard with everything else that we have to do.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's the plan.
And we do it for you, listeners.
We do it for us, too, Renee.
Yeah.
We enjoy this.
I actually do enjoy it.
Do you enjoy it or are you just lying? Has this all been a phase to you?
The monster hasn't hit yet, so I enjoy it.
I need the caffeine.
I need the caffeine.
So you're drinking a Monster. I'm
drinking a Monster.
I'm going back to G Fuel now.
G Fuel.
G
What
Fuel.
flavor are you doing?
Bahama Mama?
Bahama Mama?
It's like a pineapple something tropical thing flavor.
How is it?
That's bomb.
Really?
Yeah. I miss it. I miss it. I think we've been kind of straying away from like everything else, and now I'm like weaning down and going back to like simpler times of G Fuel.
See, I would like G Fuel, but I like the carbonation of stuff. So I know that they have canned G Fuel.
They do, but it's not carbonated.
It's not carbonated?
No.
Then I can't drink it.
It's like, look, I'll tell you this. As much as I love G Fuel, I think that the canned is kind of crap.
Oh, yeah?
It's like whatever. If you want like a canned drink to take on the go, sure, whatever. Go ahead and get it.
Yeah.
But I mean, mixing it on your own, I think that's like the.
It's like a fresher.
It's a
kind
f-
of fact.
I mean, how fresh can friggin'
Powder.
be?
It's true.
So I don't
Freshly
know.
shaken, I guess.
Yes. All right, Renee, we've got a jam-packed episode today. Do you want to get this going?
Let's do it.
This is a good episode. Keep in mind, guys, that this was recorded about 2 weeks before you guys are listening into this, so there's going to be some stuff that might be out of date. But we're only sticking to one thing today. So because last week was the end of Spooky Nerds. The 4-part series.
Oh, man.
First time ever we do something like that. So it was great. So we're starting off November. We took a week off of recording, but we're not taking a week off from giving you guys the content you guys want and deserve. So you guys are getting this. Renee, you want to start the intro?
Yes.
Let's go.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Keeping Up with the Nerds Variety Hour, coming to you from 12920 Philadelphia Street, Whittier, California, aiming to be Whittier's #1 podcast of all things nerdy. I'm your host, Renee.
And this is Brian.
And welcome to the show, everyone.
Yes! Hey! Why is this episode special, Renee? Tell us!
Because we have a very special in-studio guest.
Yes.
Friend of the show, Rabel.
Rebel!
What up, nerds?
Hey, that's a good thing. Also, quick little side note. Yeah. This is going to be labeled different. It is not issue 23.
Nope.
Issue 22 was last week, not issue 23. This is our first ever annual issue. It's a little break, a little special episode for you guys. Special episode means special guest. Friend of the show, Rebel.
Yes.
Thank you, even though you called us nerds, which we are proudly, okay?
He is too.
I am nerd and I am proud.
I'm nerd and I'm proud.
I'm nerd and I'm proud.
Okay, so now I'm going to tell you the analogy, because we were talking before actually recording.
Well, real fast. First, I want to thank Renee and Professor Chaos for letting me come onto the show.
Oh, I was like, Professor Chaos. Who's this Professor Chaos?
Oh, man.
Renee, you doing the show with someone else now?
You cheating on me?
I like Butters, all right?
Everyone likes Butters.
Yes, Butters
Oh, wait,
Butters
fellas.
lovable.
I want to play Lord of the Rings, guys.
I was watching South Park recently again because my girlfriend's trying to catch up. She's freaking 10 seasons behind.
Really?
So
Yeah.
she's on season
13.
There's 23 seasons?
There's
of stuff?
22-ish
Oh my God.
seasons.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. She's like 10 seasons behind. So,
Has she seen the one with the where they're all animated, like when they get the ninja weapons?
yes. Yeah, she knows that one. The one
Okay.
where the shuriken gets stuck in Butter's eye.
Because honestly, when you called yourself Professor Chaos, the immediate thought that came to my mind is the shuriken going into his eye and him crying. It was like, Butters, it's okay. Come on, don't say anything. It's like,
no, my favorite part is when they dress him up as a dog. Yeah. Like, it's what? That's honestly my favorite part. And he just goes to the doctor. They take him into the pound or something, and then he goes to the doctor and faints. Yeah. Oh man, it's so great. Anyways,
sorry to interrupt your analogy.
No, go for it. So the analogy, because we were talking about this, I did not sleep the night before recording this. I was like just thinking, if I'm really comfortable, I think I told you this, if I'm really comfortable, my mind just goes into like this infinite space of thinking and I can't stop. So I was thinking about this episode, finding some stuff out, and I was thinking about, the friendship and that Rabel and I have. And I'm like, well, what's a great way to explain the friendship? Because he technically was like a hard rival back in our early days of friendship. But I think that we were, because we always are.
My nemesis.
Was this like a one-way rivalry? Because I didn't know.
No, because he always picked on me on certain things. It was like always a back and forth between us and stuff that.
I think when we first started you and I first started hanging out because we have mutual friends.
Yeah, we do.
And so we started hanging out. And I think like at first you and I didn't like each other.
No, because we were like complete opposite. We were the same but opposite.
So that's the thing. Yeah.
Like we would go to the same like party, like Christmas parties and stuff like that, and we just wouldn't talk to each other because we would just like set each other off.
Yeah.
But then I don't remember what happened.
You knew how to push my buttons, and I knew how to push your buttons.
Yeah,
and that's how it was.
I don't remember what happened, but at one point you and I
think we just
started
mutually
being nice to each other, and then we became friends.
We just mutually agreed to like it was like a non-spoken agreement where we just said, okay, let's just not and give our friendship a chance. So this is the analogy. You ever remember the first season of Pokemon, the Indigo Plateau League?
Yeah.
Or the Indigo Plateau, when Ash and Gary would just butt heads and hate each other?
Yeah.
Okay, remember afterwards when he went to the Orange Islands?
No, I think I stopped watching after that.
Okay, anyway. When he goes into the Orange Islands, Ash and Gary become friends. They no longer are rivals. So Rabel and I are like Ash and Gary.
Who's Ash and who's Gary?
I don't want to start that conversation because then we're probably going to try to be like,
the listeners
I'll take
are
Ash.
I'll
take Ash. I don't care. He has a Charizard, and Charizard's my favorite Pokemon.
Ooh. Professor Chaos over there wants to be Ash too. What's this?
I mean, he's never won a championship until recently. He won the Alolan? I don't remember. Yeah, he won the Alolan one, which is like kind of weird.
Yeah.
But I mean, finally won one after like 20-something years on air. Thank God. He's still 10 years old. I don't know how they do that.
Still 10 years old.
All right, so are we ready?
That's how you and me became friends. Have you mentioned before how me and Renee know each other?
So actually, if you guys don't know, Rabel is actually a cousin of mine through marriage.
So we knew each other when we were little at family gatherings.
We would always just hang out and just play and stuff like that.
And then I walked into this comic book shop, and it had been years since I had seen Renee.
Yeah, me too.
So we were both not sure if.
It was like a year or two.
I was like, he's so familiar. Like I know him from somewhere. And then what?
I think I finally had the courage and be like, hey, Rabel, are you related to my aunt or something? Or
and then we realized oh, we're cousins.
You were cousins.
So somewhat lost but found again cousins.
Basically, yeah.
That's a beautiful story, guys. Thanks for sharing that.
Which is funny that we're both, really, because it's funny how we're both heavily into Batman and we both love comic books and stuff like that, and that's how we ended up fighting each other again.
Comic books brought us back together.
Yes. Comic books brings everyone together.
Brings family and friends together.
It brought. All right, are we ready to get this episode started?
Let's do it.
All right, so, oh man, I'm like losing track. This caffeine's barely hitting me right now. Basically, the end of Three Jokers has happened. The week that we're recording this episode, book 3 has come out. Yes. Even though you're listening to this on the second week of November,
so
it came out the last week. Yeah, 2 weeks before. But we wanted to bring on Rabel because Rabel is a hardcore Batman enthusiast, fan, whatever you want to call him. Who better to talk about Batman than him? We always talk about Batman in the group chat. So why not bring someone else new to this conversation, get the things going and all this other stuff. Before we move on to the 3 Jokers, though, I do want to start off with some quick questions in regards to how we came about, to read into Batman or appreciate or love him or whatever it is. Rabel, do you want to start us off? What got you into the Batman fandom? Starting off with like the first experience you had with something Batman related.
To my memory, my first experience was the animated series with Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill, and all them. I remember watching those cartoons on.
It's okay. The Taco Bell's coming up, isn't it?
Yes. Cut that out.
I don't edit. All right.
No wonder this show is so easy for you.
Easy, dude. I have to wait in the computer for like an hour to render this. Are you kidding me?
So my first experience with Batman that I remember is the animated series with, like I said, Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill, and I remember watching that on. I don't remember if it was the Fox Kids.
I think it was, for us, it was Fox Kids. Yeah, because it aired somewhere else, I believe. And
well, yeah, it was also on Kids WB.
Yeah.
So I don't remember which one I would watch it on, but I remember watching it when I was little and loving the show. And my mom is a huge Batman fan. She loves the original Michael Keaton Batman movie.
Oh, okay.
With Jack Nicholson Joker. So that might have also been my first experience, because she would watch movies when I was little, and they would be in the background and I would just watch them. So that could be my first experience, or it could be the animated series.
I might be a little further back than that, because my dad was like a hardcore like oldies TV kind of enthusiast, because he used to watch Star Trek, but black and white, back when it was in black and white. So I think my first introduction was the
Adam West.
Adam West, thank you.
Yeah.
The 66 Batman. And from there, he kind of showed me the different movies and stuff like that. I think his favorite one, just because he loves this guy, was it Batman and Robin with Mr. Freeze? Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, Batman and Robin.
Batman and Robin. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, you're talking about
1966, and then I went from that one. Well, because he only showed me like a couple episodes here and there regarding that, because he loved that Batmobile. He was a major car enthusiast. So like for him, the Batmobile for the Batman 66 was like his thing. And then from there, he showed me the movies, and then he was a big fan of Arnold Schwarzenegger because of Terminator. So he showed me Batman and Robin, and that was it. But then on my own,
do you know what killed off the dinosaurs? The Ice Age.
Those are the one-liners.
Yeah. The best one.
But on my own was the animated series with Kevin Conroy. I think like that's everyone's,
Well, yeah, I think for our generation, it would have to be, you can't not mention the animated series ever being part of your life, But same thing with, I think it's for me, both sides, because I remember watching the animated series of Batman. But that's not like, I remember like getting introduced and seeing all these, all of his rogues galleries and stuff. And I didn't like it right away, but I always liked his villains and stuff. It wasn't until I saw the movies and I was like, oh, that's the same character. It's just like, as a little kid, you're like connecting everything and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think my first introduction of the movies was Batman Returns.
Okay.
That's the earliest movie I can remember watching first. And then I remember watching, seeing Penguin, seeing Catwoman and stuff like that. I was like, oh, this is cool and stuff.
Who is Catwoman?
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Michelle Pfeiffer. Renee, you were a kid. You should have been into Batman only, all right?
Do you guys remember what was your first experience in terms of comic books? Because the cartoons and the movies are a more popular media, and you're more likely to be exposed to that. Do you remember what was your first comic introduction to Batman?
I think my first one, had to be the Batman Venom one, and it was just like a random dollar issue of it. It was when he's taking the pills and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I just remember seeing it, and then him trying to push the boulder and stuff, and he couldn't do it right away, and he was like, because I remember it was so interesting. I was like, what's he trying to do? He's just a guy. And I'm just reading it. And I think I was really young. I think I was maybe like my first Batman comic book wasn't until maybe I was like 12, but I read earlier comic books before then, like X-Men and stuff, Spider-Man and stuff like that. But my first Batman comic book wasn't until I was a little bit older. But I remember that. It was Batman Venom.
Okay. Mine wasn't until probably I was in high school. Mm-hmm. So I was a late bloomer when it came to like comics books and stuff like that, just because I was a bigger Marvel fan than DC. Mm-hmm. I was more of like a cartoon DC enthusiast, so I would watch a lot of like the animated series, Batman Beyond, Teen Titans, Justice League, Static Shock, like all that stuff. So when it came to comic books, I kind of took a break after elementary school, and then closer to like my senior year of senior year of high school, when Superior Spider-Man came out, is when I went back.
That was such a good show.
The comic book.
Oh, the comic. I thought you meant
one where
Spectacular Spider-Man.
No, not Spectacular. Superior. Yeah. Right after Peter Parker dies is when I went back into comic books, and that's when I started investing more time into the Batman comic books. Mm-hmm. So I missed the Court of Owls. I basically read all those trades. I think more recently was like the arc before Endgame, leading up to Endgame was when I really started diving into Batman deeper and getting into the comic books and stuff like that.
For me, I think it was when I was reading Batman consistently, like the first time I like tuned in and kept going was after Final Crisis. It was when he died, and then you're following the return of Bruce Wayne. And then I read Batman and Robin, which was Dick Grayson as Batman.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then yours?
The first comic I actually remember reading with Batman was Killing Joke. Was this copy that I brought with me?
How old were you was that one when you rated that one?
I don't remember, because I was either in junior high or just starting high school. My dad gave me a bunch of his old comics, and this was one of them. And there's other ones in there.
Did you fully grasp the idea of Killing Joke as a kid?
Yeah. So for me, it was either... I honestly don't remember. It was either this or I had a trade of all the issues of Death in the Family. So those were my two first introductions to Batman comic books.
Those are some heavy books to get into as a kid, though.
Yeah.
Because, it's... And I was talking to this with Andy, because I kind of want her to read Three Jokers, because I fell in love with this, and we'll talk about it more down the line. But we've mentioned this before, that there's certain arcs like the Killing Joke and Death in the Family, Death of or Death in.
Which one are you referring to?
The one that Rabel was mentioning.
Death in the Family is the one where Jason Todd dies.
So
Death in the Family.
Yeah.
Okay, I always get the two mixed up. But that's the one that you said probably was one of them.
It was either that or Killing Joke.
Okay.
But you and which one? I already lost track. Which one of you was talking about getting consistently into the Batman?
That was me. Yeah.
I started consistently reading Batman when New 52 started.
Oh yeah, and that's that was like the best way to start too. Honestly.
Yeah. Since then, I've gone back and gotten the trades of like Grant Morrison's run with Batman and Robin with Damian Wayne, and before that, I would just read the trades. I wouldn't get weekly comics until New 52 happened.
Yeah.
And then I just started getting weekly comics, and I've been getting weekly comics since
then. The New 52 was great, but like
a lot of people hate it.
So I didn't get into it until later, because for those that don't know, the New 52 is basically like a reboot of the universe in a sense.
Yeah,
because every decade or so, DC likes to reboot their
multiverse,
their universe.
Yeah.
So it just it starts again from issue 1, and it's to get new readers and to get new takes on the stories, because you'll have
and stuff.
Characters, their origins will change slightly or majorly. Some characters will be erased. New 52 made everyone younger, because before that, like Batman and Superman and all them in universe were like, I think in their
like
40s,
late
40s,
mid 40s,
mid to late 40s. They were getting up there.
Barry
like
Allen,
Nightwing was probably like in his 30s but right before New 52 started. And then when New 52 started, Batman was back to being like 35.
Yeah. And that was due to, what was the Flash series?
Flashpoint.
There we go.
Flashpoint. That was a great
I was
series.
always I was introduced into the New 52 because people didn't like it. And so they told me, don't buy much of New 52. Like, don't get Batman New 52. That wasn't until I basically had to do the work myself and start reading those things on my own. And I watched the Flashpoint movie, then started reading the Flashpoint comics. I'm like, oh man, what the hell were people talking about? This is actually pretty good.
It was a good little interesting take. I think with the New 52, it just felt like a breath of fresh air. Where you could just kind of like start over and stuff and just kind of like, okay, well, let's see where they go. Some of them were unnecessary origins, you know, like I think even Scott Snyder said that he didn't really want to do 0 Year, but DC made him do it.
Zero Year's so good.
It was good, but that's the thing.
I love 0 Year.
That was a story that even Scott Snyder didn't even want to do, and he still made it really good.
Scott Snyder.
Yeah.
Scott Snyder.
Scott Snyder, yeah.
Yeah. It's Scott Snyder.
Yeah,
he can make
right.
a lot of things really good. He made the death of Batman feel authentic and fantastic. And then the stuff leading up to that with the Bat Bunny suit, Jim Gordon Batman. Like, even though it's not an essential arc to read, come on. Like, he still did really good work with that. Good. All right. Last question to pose to you guys.
Yeah.
Favorite iteration of Batman? We kind of went, we're millennials. We kind of got into this whole Batman thing in the 90s, and we'd have to, backtrack a lot and read into a lot of Batman historia, but that doesn't mean that we can't appreciate different iterations of the Batman, right? So, question, your favorite iteration. Rabel, you want to start it? Or you want to put some thought into it?
No, for me, it's Kevin Conroy. Kevin Conroy is Batman. I will.
You just mentioned. You said that, and I thought of a question after.
I love Kevin Conroy's version of Batman so much. For me, he is just like how Mark Hamill is the definition of the Joker. Kevin Conroy is the definitive Batman. And for me, it's that, and also Neil Adams and Dennis O'Neill's their kind of comic arc, their entire run of Batman is it's a combination of that and Kevin Conroy.
Okay,
for me it is
so
is
mainly the
Batman.
Animated series is your favorite iteration.
I wouldn't say like just the animated series. It is specifically Kevin Conroy.
Okay, anything Kevin Conroy.
Kevin Conroy.
Anything Kevin Conroy.
Whether it's the animated series or it's the animated movies or the video, like the Injustice video. Isn't he's for Injustice video?
Yeah,
games,
he's
right?
for Injustice. Yeah.
Or no, is he?
He was
Injustice,
also
or is he the Arkham series?
Arkham Cities and Injustice as well.
Okay, well, like even regardless, even the even the video games, like the fact that Kevin Conroy is voicing Batman makes that Batman. That is the definitive Batman.
So I'm on that same boat because I think I mentioned it before in a couple issues back. Kevin Conroy to me is, and as Rabel said, the definitive Batman. He's also the definitive Bruce Wayne. He can play both perfectly well.
Yeah, he does the voice really well when you're watching the animated series.
Do you guys know that? Sorry, do you guys know that app Cameo?
Yeah.
Which one?
Cameo.
Oh yes, yeah.
So where it's in case anyone listening doesn't know, it's an app, or it might be a website too. Anyways, where you can get celebrities and athletes and all these different people you pay them a certain amount of money and they'll record you a message, and it's like a personalized message. They'll say your name and stuff like that. So for my birthday in this past June, my parents surprised me by getting Kevin Conroy to give me a cameo shout out.
That was awesome.
I saw that on your Facebook.
Yeah, I
was
shared it on
Holy
Facebook.
Crap, man.
We were watching a movie we watched Man of Steel in my backyard with like the projector and stuff. They hooked up the projector. Yeah, you're all giving me the looks when I say Man of Steel.
No.
They hooked up the computer to the projector and they played the clip, and that's the first time I saw it was projected in my backyard, and I was awesome. Tears of joy,
dude. I saw that and I could
hearing him talk and having him address me personally.
I showed Andy that clip and I'm like, dude, I'm freaking jealous of Rabel. Like, to have a voice of Batman, the voice of Batman, voice of Batman mention you by name is like, dude.
So your mom actually came in, I think like a week or a couple days prior to the store. She came in before your birthday and told me about that. I was like,
oh, you knew ahead of time?
You knew before me? How dare you?
And she was like,
that was my special moment.
She goes,
You've tainted this moment for me.
It's not the same anymore. So I was like so jealous when she told me. I was like, oh, that's so cool. I was like, that's awesome. He's gonna love it.
The closest I've ever gotten to Batman was Christian Bale when I said goodnight to him at Disney. That was it. But like, come on,
that's
man.
pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's
still
come
pretty
on.
cool. That's still pretty cool.
Still, come on, Kevin Conroy.
And then he walked away and he's like, we're done professionally.
All right, so back to the whole iteration of Batman.
Yeah.
Even though I do think Kevin Conroy is the definitive Batman and Bruce Wayne, my favorite iteration will always forever be Batman Beyond.
Mm-hmm.
The symbol, the story, the development, the villains have always been a big part. And I think that's what really got me to fully dive into the Batman Historia, because I wanted to know more. How did Terry McGinnis become the Batman? Why? What's his connection to Bruce Wayne? And just trying to figure out how Bruce Wayne went from, the Batman to retired and not being able to do all these different things. And I just love.
Was so great.
It was so perfect because it went from, if you were a big fan of the animated series, jumping straight into Batman Beyond, everything was so. It's like nothing. Everything went through with it. The Batcave was still the same. He still had all those pieces in his museum, the big penny, the costumes. It was just perfect.
Yeah.
So that's mine. And Kevin Conroy was still Batman.
Yeah.
Oh no, excuse me. He was Bruce Wayne.
He was old.
No, he's still Batman.
Okay, Batman.
No, remember the episode where Shriek is like messing with him and trying to make him think that he hears voices and he's like going crazy. And at the end of the episode, Terry tells Bruce, like, how do you know that you weren't really going crazy? And he said, at first I thought I was, but then I realized the voice kept calling me Bruce. And it's like, why would that change anything? And he says, I don't call myself Bruce in my head.
Yes. Oh my God.
And Terry says something like, that's my name now, or something like that.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Also, I want to say that the animated series is like, I have two goals. When I own a house in the future, there's two things I might want to do.
Yeah.
Either I want to have my man.
Such a far off dream for millennials.
Oh yeah, I know, but still, a man can dream. A man can dream.
When I own a house, when I'm the age of old Bruce Wayne and Batman Beyond.
right.
So here's the two things I want. Okay, or one of these two. For my man cave, I want the entrance of it to either be a Nuka-Cola fridge from Fallout, because I'm a big Fallout fan, or I want a bookcase or a grandfather clock that opens up, but in order for you to open, you need to flip over the William Shakespeare head and reveal the button.
Oh, okay.
From Batman. So that's what I want.
Cool.
I've always wanted that because I fell in love with that as a kid. I was like, dude, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, the Nuka-Cola reference actually reminds me. I want to give a quick shout out to my girlfriend Leslie, who doesn't listen to your podcast but really likes your Let's Play.
Oh
YouTube.
yeah, you mentioned she commented. I saw that.
Yeah, she says she wanted me to tell you guys that you should make more of them, and that you should also do like the side screen so that we can see what you guys are doing while you're playing.
Oh my God. Okay, well here's the deal. Okay,
well she's a bigger video game fan than I am. So
okay,
I don't watch her.
It's a discussion that me and Brian have had throughout doing the Let's
I don't
Plays.
watch your YouTube.
It's fine. It's fine. You know,
I listen to your podcast.
Do you subscribe to our YouTube channel at least?
Yeah.
Okay, then that's fine.
That's fine.
I will say this. So, Leslie, thank you if you're listening to this episode, because Rabel's on. We appreciate the listen. We appreciate you watching their videos, and we hear the feedback. Here's the deal I'll make. Once I get new lighting for my setup, then we'll do webcam.
Okay.
The lighting sucks.
It does.
So we'll work on that, and once that happens, we'll do more.
I think I'll probably buy a ring light. That's it. And just put it kind of like right there. A small
Exactly.
little stand, little ring light.
Yeah, so it won't be that bad.
Yeah.
You should do you guys playing Fallout.
Wait, is she a Fallout fan?
I don't remember. I know her favorite game is Life is Strange.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we can do those story.
Oh, we need to
too.
do a Telltale games. We should do
Telltale's dead. They don't exist anymore.
They still put out. I mean, you can still play their games though.
I don't know if you can.
Can't you think?
I'd have to double check.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd have to. Anyways, going back to the iteration because we still have all this to talk about. Renee, favorite iteration? No, you're good. You're good.
It's fine. This is what we prepared for. But
like Batman, you're prepared for every situation.
Yes.
Well, that they won't know They think we don't, but
Yeah.
the reality is we always have a doomsday plan.
That's true.
You know, what does it call it in Justice League Doom?
Oh, it's
A contingency plan.
contingency
We have a
plan,
contingency plan.
And
No, we don't.
no, we don't.
No, we don't.
So my favorite iteration of Batman would have to be, I'm gonna go off the comic books because it reminds me of the animated series, is Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's run of Batman from the New 52. The thing is that
a good run.
I love that run because it reminds me of the animated series. Because
Yeah,
it has
it's
that, because
fantastic,
like,
too.
you know, if you're a huge fan of the animated series and you read that run, you kind of know that Scott Snyder is a fan of that as well too. So he, you know, it has that vibe, but just a little darker as well.
Yeah.
It's like a little bit more mature, if anything, you know.
We met when the New 52 was out, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I might have mentioned this years ago, but
Yeah.
I really liked Greg Capullo's art.
Yeah.
Because it was like refined lines, sharp, and it was dark, but it was also it was like cartoony, but not to an extent that it was annoying.
Yeah, it's that perfect balance between not realistic, but more than animated.
Yes.
Type
Yeah.
of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah. And the emblem for the batsuit was
Oh, I love it.
perfect.
Oh, the yellow border.
Yeah.
around-
Oh,
where it's
no.
not like that. It's not like the yellow circle around the bat. It's
Yeah.
the yellow outline
Yeah.
of the bat.
And then he has like the purple inside of his cape as well too.
He knew how to like make the Batman iconic.
Yeah.
Second favorite emblem, for my opinion. Batman Beyond's emblem is always my first.
Yeah.
But that one, second. Just like, yeah. Anyways, do you want to? Should we start talking about the three Jokers?
I think this
Book
is
three?
what the listeners
Yeah.
for. Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
so
that's what we were supposed to be talking about.
yeah, but we build up to it, okay? That's how this show. Can you not ruin the contingency plan, please? All right. So, let's start with this. The expectations for book 3 were pretty high because the way book 2 ended was Joker asking Joe Chill, why? Why did you commit the murder of Martha and Thomas Wayne? And that's what we were kind of anticipating in this book. We were trying to figure out where this was going. We didn't want to assume that we already knew what was going to happen because it's not always that simple. There's always more to the Joker's plan. So going into this book, Rabel, what were your expectations of this?
I didn't really have expectations. I was actually worried how it was going to end because of Joker recording Joe Chill saying, "Why did you kill Thomas and Martha Wayne?"
Yeah. I think we all had that fear. Yeah.
That made me really worried about how this one was going to end, because I don't like the concept that there's this big conspiracy to kill the Waynes, and that's how Joe Chill comes into the picture. Like, because there's like Court of Owls, that you brought up Court of Owls a few times. In Court of Owls, which is this underground society, it's like if the 1% of Gotham use their money to be aristocratic supervillains, like torture people and have people fight to the death in like death pits and stuff while they wear their nice suits and watch from the gladiator stands and whatever.
Kind of like the Purge.
Yeah,
Purge too.
yeah. It's like the Purge, but year round.
Yeah.
It's a year round.
Yeah. But so in the Court of Owls series, they're like a myth they've been introduced as this myth that's been around since Gotham was formed. And Batman's when in the first few issues, Batman brings up like the Court of Owls are a myth. Like I've researched them; they don't exist. When my parents were killed, I thought that maybe the Court of Owls had hired Joe Chill to kill them because they are doing all the entrepreneur stuff and they're trying to make Gotham a better place. Like they're interfering with what the Court of Owls wants to do. Mm-hmm. So concepts like that, where that Joe Chill was hired because of this bigger conspiracy, this bigger picture thing.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
I like that it's just random violence is the reason why his parents are dead.
So let me ask you this. Are you one of those people that does not want an identity for the Joker, that does not want the bigger conspiracy for the murder of Martha and Thomas Wayne?
Well, yeah, no, I don't want the bigger conspiracy for Martha and Thomas, and I don't want the Joker to have a name. I don't want the Joker to have an identity. That's what, when like the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie was first announced, I was really skeptical about it. I thought it was a horrible idea, and I didn't want to see it.
I think we were on the same boat.
Yeah, we were on the same boat.
Yeah.
And then I watched it, I'm like, oh, this was so good.
No, that's
so
which I'm glad that was the case.
So because Joker has always been my favorite villain. He's always been was always my favorite villain since I've been into superheroes. But it got to a point, like I think I was like towards the end of college, or maybe a little after college, where I was just tired of seeing him used everywhere. For me, it was like, I love this character, but I don't need to see him for every. He doesn't need to be the key figure for every Batman story.
That's true. Yeah.
But you're speaking for all of us here at this point.
Yeah, and so when I heard, even when I heard about Three Jokers the first time, I remember thinking like, do I really want that? Like, of course I'm going to read it, but do I really want this?
Oh yeah, when they revealed that there were three Jokers.
When they revealed that there were three Jokers back in what was it?
It was like 2 or 3 years ago.
It was the Dark Side War.
Yeah, after the Dark Side
War. And it was Justice League run Dark Side War.
Mm-hmm.
Batman sits on the Mobius chair and says, tell me the identity of the Joker. It's like, it says there are 3. And then like everyone was like, and then they announced like a year later at, I don't remember if it was WonderCon or Comic-Con, that, we're coming out with 3 Jokers to continue that story. And then all these years later, they finally come out with it. And I've been waiting for this, but I've also been so skeptical about this.
So I think you fall on that same boat that a lot of people fall on. You basically, when you're saying like, I'm tired of people, overusing the overuse of the Joker, you speak for a lot of us in that sense. Because I think that if you really follow a Batman storyline, you don't want to just constantly be using the Joker. The Joker means something. We've always kind of understood that. So we'll talk more about Book 3's storyline when we do the full overview. But you do bring up a good point in the sense that, you didn't want to know the identity of the Joker. You didn't want, this kind of like conspiracy to happen about Thomas and Martha Wayne. And I feel like the ending did such a perfect job of kind of easing those fears.
I was skeptical about this, but I loved it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still need it to settle a little bit because it only came out like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
But at the time of the recording, 2 days ago, yeah.
Yeah. So I loved it. I loved how all 3 issues came together. I loved the entire story. I love each individual issues. Not sure if I would call it an essential read for Batman fans.
Ooh, okay.
Maybe in a few days I might rethink that. I'm like, yes, this is essential. If you want to get into Batman, you need to read this, and this, and one of those this, and this are 3 Jokers. So yeah, whatever.
Okay. No, you read this. We all read it when it came out, right, Renee?
Yeah, I read it the day after it officially came out. Yeah.
Okay, so
was out on Tuesday.
I read it the same day as you.
Yeah.
You guys read it Wednesday. I read it Tuesday.
Yeah. So you came to pick it up early. We came to pick it up.
I wanted it more.
It's not about who wanted it more. It's about the time. Okay.
I was gonna come in on Tuesday, but I was just like,
do I want to make the drive over? Yeah. It'll be in the box.
I'm coming in on Wednesday to work anyway.
So you read it here, and then we talked about it beforehand. Oh man, the G Fuel. And then I was too excited to take it home and read it over here. So I read it in the store as well. Renee saw my expressions. You want to tell him what was how?
so over time, like he's reading it within like a 15-minute span because he's taking his time. You're taking your time looking at the art and reading it, going back. I'm assuming you're also going back at pages and stuff too. And his faces go from like what Or like he's all like he goes, I think I know what's gonna happen. To like he comes out and he's like, there's like a little gap in the studio right here, this little window, and I'm ringing up someone and I see his face move and he's all, and I'm like, right?
Because I mean, is it not the kind of ending that we wanted but didn't know we wanted?
Yeah. I think just overall it was an ending that we didn't expect.
Spoiler warning.
Yeah. Spoiler warning. Yeah.
Spoiler warning, just in case, because we're gonna get into this whole thing.
Because the reason why I think we like the ending so much is that because it was an element that we didn't think we needed to be told, and especially because of a big story arc like this that's been hinted for years, and it's been revealed to us, and we've been waiting for so long for it to happen, and it finally comes out. And again, I was on the same boat as Rabel's. Like, do we need a do we need three Jokers to be told? Honestly, it's just like at that point, it's like you're kind of just like dragging out the character. But it was done so well, so smart, and so beautifully, as well too, that when it was revealed what happened at the end, I was like, oh, okay.
I think it did a well enough job that it answered all the questions that it brought up in its own story. It answered all the questions that it brought up, but still left enough openness that nothing is like definitive in it.
Yeah.
Yes. Because I was also talking about this with Brian yesterday, that I do see
without me.
We have to plan the episode somehow. Again, the contingency plan.
I'm just a guest. I don't get to be on the planning committee. Apparently,
that we were talking about it, and I was like, it feels like basically Jeff Johns and Jason Fabak will do another story. It feels like together.
Yes, because
this doesn't
so
feel
well
like
done.
It doesn't feel like, oh yeah, they did their time and they're doing. No, they're gonna do something again.
I hope they don't.
Well, maybe not.
Well,
maybe not. Like Batman-wise.
I'm perfectly fine with if they want to work together again. That'd be amazing. But I hope that this doesn't have a continuation to this story.
I see
like
a one
saying.
shot, like a leave it as it is kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
I don't want a sequel event to Three Jokers because this by itself is amazing.
I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think it's a sequel, but I do think that they want to work together. I think that there is there might be another arc that they might be able to plan out, because for me personally, the story, as far as the written story goes, it's like you said, everything that we didn't think we needed, we got, and it was placed out there in a way that was appreciative. There were a lot of minor details in there that you kind of had to look back at and be like, was this really necessary? In a way, it kind of was.
Yeah.
Like Jason Todd and Barbara sharing a kiss.
That's the one thing I'll say was unnecessary.
But it was kind of like
I understood it.
There
That's
it is.
the thing.
Yes.
I understood it because they both went through traumatic experiences with the Joker, and then also seeing Jason that vulnerable was a new side of Barbara.
Because Jason, the relationship
to see from
the way I saw it was the relationship between Batman and Jason was always hostile.
Yeah.
Why did you leave me behind to die? You could have done more. It was always hostility. But then when it was just Jason and Barbara, it was like he had the opportunity to open up. So that kiss, even though it was minor and it went to nothing, was important because it set that relationship up for those that might not be able to see it. Because I think that the Three Jokers, as it isn't just advertised for the people like us who, were like heard about this and it's like, oh, well, we need to read it. This could be a way to kind of show off to newcomers, like there's a relationship here. This is how we can showcase it to those that are not so eagle-eyed on certain things like that. But now we're going to go into the ending portion of this. The ending of it, even though most of us did not want to go into the whole Three Jokers and want to have, Three Jokers and stuff like that, the way I can describe the ending is the things that are not, how did I put it? It was things that are not important have importance.
Yeah.
Is kind of, I think that's how I said it. I can't remember exactly how I put it.
Those were your exact words.
Was it?
I think so, yeah.
I might have to look it up, but that's besides the point. It's something similar to that. It's like the things that aren't important have some importance in it. Do I have it in here? Maybe. Let's see. Where is it? Whatever. I'll find it later. But yeah, so that's what it is, because 2 of the 3 Jokers end up dying, and the only one that's left over is who? The comedian? The comedian, right? And then the speech between him and the Batman in the car is basically, it wasn't to try to convert, like, the criminal's plan to try to convert Joe Chill into a Joker was stupid. And the Joker that killed Jason Todd, you know, he was just batshit crazy. Like, it doesn't matter. What I wanted to do was I wanted to make sure that everything that makes you you is because of me.
Oh, I found it. Sorry. You said there is importance in not being important.
Thank you. Okay. I like that. I like the way I wrote it. I was like, there's a way I wrote it specifically. But he's like, I don't want you to basically think that the reason why you became Batman is because of Joe Chill.
Yeah.
It's not for that reason. I want to be the only part of your life that is important. Just know that I am full chaos, that I am the reason why you are this way, and I want to be left alive. I got to find that quote. But he basically is like, I want to be the last one alive and see you dead. I want to be the one to stab you. Oh, I'll keep twisting that knife until the day we both die together, which is an allusion to Endgame, is what I predict, or alluding to Endgame, essentially. But like, that one line is essentially like the Joker basically saying, I am the most important figure in your life, and that's that. Then we go on to...
because he does say, I healed your greatest wound, so now I can be your greatest pain.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That's another good
Poetry. In a sense, it's just poetry. Then we go on to kind of epilogue scene where we see Jason Todd leaving a note to Barbara, basically confessing, I guess, feelings for her. Yeah.
That he wants to basically saying that, like, listen, I'm up for it if you're up for it.
Exactly.
But
he says, I'd be willing to give up being Red Hood for you.
But then the note falls.
Yeah, and he ends his love letter with, like, if you don't feel the same way, then
I'll never bring it up
then
again.
I'll never bring it up. We never talk about it. Just throw this letter away. And then it, like, falls off the door
and
it gets
picks
swept
it
up. And what's it say on the janitor's back? It says, like,
fun time cleaners.
Yeah, so it's like another Joker themed thing.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the art, because the art is something special in this book.
It really is.
But then we kind of get this continuation of the epilogue where Alfred's talking to Bruce, and he basically asks him the question, did you not really want to know what his name was? And Bruce...
Well, you did leave out the part with Joe Chill that's really important, where it's like the final confrontation
of him answering the question.
Yeah,
essentially.
the final.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, not just that, but the final confrontation between Batman and the criminal Joker, the one who's like the mastermind behind all of this, and he saves Joe Chill he stops Joe Chill from becoming a Joker, and then he
basically from falling, and then the brick wall falling on him. Saves him twice.
Yeah.
And then thanks him for saving him.
And then, Joe Chill says, thank you. And Batman says, you're welcome. I'm not going to lie. I got, like, choked up reading that.
Yeah. Because
that's the thing. We know the history between these two characters, and it's just like...
Joe Chill doesn't know who Batman is.
That's the thing,
in this story, because as long as Batman's been around, Joe Chill has been in prison longer.
Yeah.
And all he knows is the stories of the other people going in jail talking about Batman. And what's he say? Like, are you going to kill me? Like, are you here to kill me? Like, I know you are. Are you here to kill me? And Batman just says no. And then the brick wall falls, which I wanted to bring up specifically. The brick wall falling, I think, is a callback to the Batman Brave and the Bold cartoon. There's an episode called Chill of the Night where the entire episode is Batman looking for Joe Chill, because in that he's not in prison. He's just like a regular criminal running around. And Phantom Stranger, who's voiced by Kevin Conroy, and the Spectre, who's guest voiced by Mark Hamill, are having a competition of justice versus vengeance, which is more important in being a hero. And they're using Batman as like their wager of what's he going to do when he finds Joe Chill. Is he going to go down the path of justice or vengeance? And ultimately he chooses justice, and he doesn't want to kill Joe Chill, but he reveals, like, you killed Thomas and Martha Wayne, and Joe Chill's like, what does that matter to you? Like, why does that matter? and he says, "Because I'm Bruce Wayne," and he reveals himself, and Joe Chill like freaks out and runs out into this warehouse filled with all of Batman's villains that he was just selling weapons to. And he's like, "You guys will never believe this. I killed this guy's parents years ago, and that kid grew up to be Batman." And then they all start they're like, "Wait, so Batman's because of you?" And before they even hear that it's Bruce Wayne, they just start beating him up.
It could be,
but the part that I think is a callback to that is at the very end of the confrontation. Like, Batman starts beating everyone up and is apprehending everyone, and then the brick building falls down and crushes Joe Chill before he can reveal anything else. And when I was first reading that and I see the brick building fall down, I immediately thought of that episode.
It could be that there is allusions with the art in regards to certain things like that, because I did mention in one of the issues when we talked about the second DC fandom that Jason Fabak and Jeff Johns in one of the panels was basically talking about certain clues and hints that they leave behind in the Three Jokers. That Jason Fabak did actually draw certain panels and put little hints and clues and references to past the Batman storylines. So I could see that actually being an allusion.
Another really good one that he threw in there is in the first issue. Barbara is running on the treadmill and she's watching the news about the Joker murders that have been springing up, and on the TV, on the news, they show a picture of this heavyset comedian that has just been reported killed, and he's wearing the Hawaiian shirt
I saw that. Yeah,
that Joker wears when he shoots Barbara.
Okay, so there's that other piece.
So
that was
other things like that. Yeah.
So he actually, in that little sequence as well, Joe Chill mentions that he murdered Martha and Thomas just because of the money and didn't realize that they had a kid there. So that kind of goes to show that the murder was just a straight murder for money, and he regrets killing in front of a child.
He says that I saw them for everything they had, and I was jealous and I was angry, and that's why I robbed them. And then I didn't realize until afterwards who they really were
and what they had.
That they used their money to help people like me.
Yeah,
basically. So the epilogue continues on with Alfred talking to Bruce, saying like, did you really want to know his name? He's like, no, I don't want to know. And he's going up in some mountain area.
That's not. Sorry, I don't mean to contradict you. That's not what he says. He actually he says something that's pretty funny. It's not to sound like people think I do, Alfred, but I'm Batman.
Yeah.
I knew the Joker's name 1 week after we met.
There you go.
But that his name doesn't matter. It's not important. It's not who he is. And if you want to keep going from there, because he says most importantly...
Well, basically, the dialogue is just kind of confirming that he doesn't really know or want to know because he already knows. It's more of what we visually see, which is the family that the Joker left behind before turning into the Joker. Because in The Killing Joke, we kind of get the idea that the Joker came from... basically became or was from a former comedian that turned to a life of crime to try to help his wife, and the wife, was it committed suicide or was it murder? Renee?
She was pregnant, and the police tell him that she's testing a new baby water bottle heater, and that there's an electrical shortage. And she got electrocuted and she died. That's what they.
And that was from The Killing Joke.
That's from the. That's from the.
So
Killing
that
Joke.
Confirms one of the aspects of The Killing Joke. That kind of answers the question. So that's what I'm talking about, going back further back to about 10 or 15 minutes back, is that the Three Jokers essentially answers a lot of these questions, and it gives us satisfactory answers in a way that we can carry on, because this takes place, you were mentioning it, Renee, we don't know the time the time frame in which it is, right?
No, this is like, it feels like its own self-contained thing. But
it is released as Black Label, which is it's both canon and not canon at the same time.
So that's why I think that's why they're able to get to so that way it doesn't confuse anyone. Like, well, where does it take place? Because Batman has a different suit in here, so does Barbara Gordon, and so does Red Hood as well.
It's canon, but it's canon.
It's canon. But the story itself is canon.
But so that's
doesn't say when it's happening.
It's
exactly.
Schrodinger's comic book.
That's a good way to explain.
not canon.
That's a good way to explain
Basically.
it. Which is actually how Killing Joke originally
Killing Joke was
'Cause
originally
when
wasn't
Killing
supposed to
Joke
be canon.
originally came out. Yeah, it wasn't canon.
Yeah.
Because at the end, Batman was supposed to kill Joker.
Yeah,
and
that's
that's
how Alan Moore-
what
yeah.
that's what Alan Moore wanted, and that's what the picture alludes to. But it was so popular that it became canon.
Yeah. DC wrote it in, and then they did the whole Oracle thing and stuff like that. with
Basically,
Barbara
the
Gordon.
ending to this confirms that this is now a canon piece of literature or history.
Basically,
of Batman,
it confirms one more
story.
time that it is canon.
which
yeah.
is fantastic. Renee, do you have anything to add in terms of like the actual ending to this book?
The actual ending to this. Yeah, so I loved just like how. I think my favorite part in here was that it's basically the relationship with Red Hood and Barbara Gordon. I loved how basically they ended that little chapter for them, where it was like, okay, like they did have some sort of connection, but it's never going to be brought up again. And I kind of like that.
It goes back to like, I think I'm going to keep going back to that because you mentioned it pretty well in the sense that it's like a lot of stuff that we didn't think we needed that we needed.
Yeah.
I don't think we needed it.
Well, I mean, it kept the story very interesting as well too. Not just like, oh yeah, we're just following three Jokers, but there's also other things happening within these two characters as well that have been heavily influenced by Joker over the years. And
Exactly.
Stuff like that. So that's why it's like I didn't mind it, and then at the same time they did a smart way where it's like they're never gonna leave it open. It's over. It's over. That's it. There's no more gonna be hinting at this. We just did it for this story.
No, will they? Won't they?
Yeah, no, that's it. It's over.
Yeah. What's the time, Renee?
55 minutes.
55. Perfect. So let's go and jump into the overall arc of this and just answer a couple things here and there. I do want to go back to the art of this because I do because the art is one of these pieces in this book that's just fantastic.
It's really good.
It's one of the things that helps makes the story great.
We talked about the story in the multiple issues, and you can go back to the other issues. I'll link them in the description below if you want to hear about what we think about certain issue or certain books 1 and 2 before this. But in terms of the art itself in these books have been nothing but storytelling in itself. And I think we spoke about this, Renee, yesterday when we were meeting about this stuff. That there were certain portions in Three Jokers where the art itself was telling us certain scenarios. And if we go back to book 3, I think one of my favorite things that I showed you was when Batman goes back to the theater where
Monarch
Theater. And he's talking to Barbara and Jason and basically pointing in directions that they should go in. And that's that. And it's like you didn't need any sentences. You didn't need any single words. You understood how that action was happening. You understood the body language of the Batman. Do you have any similar kind of like cases where you looked at this? I know you do. There's one piece that you constantly bring up in the last like 3.
It's just like I love the way Batgirl's drawn and stuff like that.
Don't say it just like I love the way. No.
But like also there's also one part too when like Jason wakes up in Barbara's apartment. He's looking around and he sees all the stuff that she went through when she had to go through physical therapy and stuff like that. All the books and everything of how hard she had to try to get back to how she was, and stuff like that. And he didn't realize how hard it was for her. That's the thing of the process of what she had to go through both mentally and physically. And Jason just seeing that, it was no captions at all. It was just him looking around and you just see the expression on his face is like, oh wow.
In that moment he realizes that somebody was broken just like him.
Yeah. And I think that's why, again, to loop back, he started developing feelings for her and stuff because he's someone that he could relate to that never had that connection with.
Because we always thought that Joker only had influence on Batman and Jason Todd. That's the way I see it, is that Jason Todd always thought that he was the one to only be massively influenced by the Joker. All he cares about is himself. Yeah, and then he starts to realize certain things. But you're right. It's like certain panels, none of the panels felt like filler.
No.
A lot of the panels felt like they all told a story in itself. They were all sentences that kind of set up for the next part in the storyline and stuff like that. You were mentioning something about the bat suit as well in the first book, the emblem.
The emblem's different from how the
current run
is right now. So I think that's why
mainline story Batman.
Yeah. I think it's mostly because Jeff Johns likes that
Jeff
suit.
Johns likes that symbol because Jeff Johns also wrote Batman Earth One.
Mm-hmm.
Different. I can't remember who the artist is right now, but I did look
Oh,
it
that
up.
was
It is a different artist. It's
Gary Frank.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knew it was Gary something.
Yeah.
And in Batman Earth One, he has that symbol where it's the yellow circle with the bat inside. I like how in the first one they have like a practical use for it. It's like a flashlight.
Yeah, that's what I like.
Cool.
Yeah, I like how he basically implemented that.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. He had the same suit for Doomsday Clock as well too.
Did he?
Yeah, it's the same suit.
I should go back and look at it.
I think so. I'm not sure. Probably.
Fact check it.
Right.
Part of what I really and I like how you kept talking about the panels. Part of what I really love about all three of these issues, like this miniseries as a whole, is that it really is, in my opinion, like before coming in, I sat down and I did a quick read through again of all the issues, and the reason why I brought my copy of Killing Joke is because this really does seem to me like a love story, like a tribute to Killing Joke, because because I went back and I was looking through Killing Joke, and the panels are pretty much exactly the same. You get a lot of those old style, not 3x3 boxes, and then you get like a wider shot every few pages.
Yeah, it's like you get the look of the scenery at
but
first
it's a very contained, where nowadays when you read comics, they're all over the panels are all over the place, and the characters are popping out at you. But this one it's very neat, and you can tell right away, just by opening up the first page, you can tell right away that this is not like not like regular comics are nowadays. And so that is one out of many things. Reading this makes it for me seem like it is a love story, like a tribute to Killing Joke.
So you mentioned something that actually was kind of brilliant. It's that, and maybe you can agree with me, Renee. A lot of modern comic books have panels that are in kind of similar shape, where it's like 3 in a row and then one long one. But usually the long ones are because characters have a lot of dialogue. Right?
That or action
sequences, but it's mostly dialogue between two characters or 3 or whatever, and it's just bubbles, right? Did you notice that most of these panels don't have long sentences?
No, yeah.
And it's because of that art. It's because the panels itself tells the stories as well. There's no need for you to have 4 or 5 sentences in a bubble. You can do 1 or 2, maybe 3, and get away with it because the panel itself tells what the scene is. You move on to the next one. The next panel will tell you the new action that's going on, so on and so forth, and it leads you and it keeps you interested to the point that now you have to study every single panel there. Did you notice that at all?
No, I have, Basically, it's like when you look at it, the ratio between like the art and like the dialogue is very equal. It doesn't feel like, oh wow, this looks like a page that has a lot of dialogue in it. No, it's very equal upon everything.
Yeah, there are a lot of panels that are actually like it's a 3 sequence where the first one is dialogue, and then 2 panels followed it of no dialogue, where it's just it's just them going through an action or emotion or something. Like one in, I think in the first one, the first issue, the one that sticks out to me is Barbara Gordon is sitting on top of like a she's perched on top of something looking down at the crime scene. She says something, and then the next 2 panels are just showing her jumping down.
When he goes and investigates the 3 murders at the chemical plant. Before jumping down to basically talk to Batman.
And then in the third one, 2 panels that I really love is when the criminal Joker has Joe Chill over the vat of toxic chemicals and drops his lighter into it, and it's about to explode. If you look at it, it shows there's 2 panels at the very bottom, the last 2 on the page. One of them shows Joe Chill's face with the lighter, and it says it just shows the speech bubbles of him saying "I'm sorry," and then the next one is the explosion. And if you look at because it's being shown on a movie screen in the Monarch Theater, So you see on the movie screen where it says "I'm sorry," it's Joe Chill's face, and then when the explosion happens, it's Joker's face.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why, but that just stuck out to me.
No, it's good.
That is so good because it shows you what the Jokers are trying to do. It's trying to show you that transformation that they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah. Going back to Renee's thing about seeing Jeff Johns and Jason Fabok hopefully working together, I now understand what you mean, Renee. Mm-hmm. I don't think I want a sequel.
No.
But I do want more work from them. Mm-hmm. Another arc that's maybe a limited short series like this.
Yeah.
Perfect. Mm-hmm. Give him another one, because this was pretty brilliant.
Yeah.
Now, to wrap this episode up, you mentioned this question a while back, which was, is this an essential Batman read? Mm-hmm.
I say yes, because it's that good little story after you read like the first essentials. You know, you read Killing Joke, you read Death in the Family, the Robin one. And then if you read basically like any sort of early iterations of Batman, or just Joker in general as well too, when you're done reading those, you could read this and feel satisfied. You're like, oh wow, this was actually pretty cool, because they hinted at Killing Joke, they hinted at other Jokers and stuff like that.
It's a nice bow to the top of a big package after you read all those different things.
I think so.
Do you think that this is newcomer friendly?
No. Because you would have to, like, again,
you have laugh, but like,
I know it's not, but I just like the blunt no.
No,
because it's true. Because like what I said, it's something you have to read after you've read Batman either over the years or
you need to know about the lore before you can jump into it.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to disagree with you on that sense. I will agree with you that this is an essential Batman read. Yeah. That this is something as big as like the Killing Joke or Death of the Family or Endgame. And I don't want to keep referencing Endgame because I love the ending of Endgame. Oh, I loved it. I think that it's massive. But I'm going to disagree with you in the sense that I think that this could be newcomer friendly. You give this, let's say when this comes out on a trade, right? Yeah. Someone comes into the store and says like, hey, can you recommend something for me? It's not going to be the number one choice that you recommend to people. It's definitely not. You can recommend a lot more. But I will say that it could be a recommendation, because if a newcomer comes in and reads this, they're going to get so enticed to basically want to know more that this could be referenced back afterwards. You read the entire thing. You say like, true. Oh, I want to see this. I want to see the connection to that. You go, and now you start to pick up the Killing Joke. You start to pick up Death of the Family. You start to pick up Endgame, because you want to make those connections happen. This is a good way of trying to get newcomers to essentially want to invest more time in previous Batman arcs, if that makes any sense.
No, I see what you're trying to say. Like it's a little thing that it's like opening a door.
Yes.
To like the other story.
The interest peaks.
Follow the white rabbit down the.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Right. It's like it
what
basically.
Is it the blue pill? Is red pill, right?
For what? In the Matrix?
Yeah, take the real red pill and
see
how far the rabbit hole goes.
But
wait, you stay in Wonderland.
But it is that sense, because you're able to pick up things here and there. Like, consider this. How many times as comic book readers have we talked about certain arcs and then you mention it to someone, right?
All
and then
the time.
All the time. But that's the point.
Every single day.
But that person then tells you, "Oh, did you pick up on this? Wait, what? No." And you go back and you'll be like, "Oh, shoot. I didn't realize that." And now leads you into another book, and now you start to you get more interest. This is a thing that could possibly bring about newcomers to want to invest more time into Batman if they haven't picked up a Batman issue.
Definitely.
It's not kid friendly.
No.
But it is what?
I just had a realization.
What was the realization?
Go ahead.
So okay.
Go ahead, Rebel, share it. Because we do have to get to your part before we wrap it up.
Sorry, bear with me. Back to my point about thinking that this is like a tribute, a love story towards Killing Joke.
Okay.
Another reason for that I didn't mention is at the back of each of these issues.
I noticed that.
Is the playing card.
Yeah.
Which it's a Joker, and then half of it's Joker is one of the three Jokers, and then the other half for the first issue it's Batman. Second it's
the Joker that had the influence.
Batgirl, and then the last one is Jason Todd. That's exactly what the back cover of Killing Joke is. But which is another thing I was going to bring up, which is another piece of evidence that this is a continuation of Killing Joke story. This is love story for Killing Joke. The realization I just had, I was looking for issue one of Three Jokers. It's a spade. Issue 2, it's a heart. Issue 3, it's a diamond. For the back for a Killing Joke, it's a club. So it's all 4 suits.
Mr. Fabak, we're gonna figure everything out right now, okay, buddy? After we stop recording this, we're gonna keep analyzing the crap out of your art, man. This is ridiculous. That's insane.
Wait, as you're talking, I was just looking through the back of them, and I just realized that right now, and I love this so much.
That's perfect.
Also, the Joker in the 3rd issue in the back, he's holding 3 Joker cards as well too.
Yeah,
I noticed that. I was like, oh wow. He's like,
there's a lot of stuff to it's great that it is more, we're starting to realize more that it is an ode to the Killing Joke, because the Killing Joke was a very controversial arc. It had a lot of stuff that people didn't like, especially with the cover.
Oh yeah.
You know, with the
that was the, what is it, the Batgirl cover? It was,
that's the Batgirl cover.
That was a Batgirl
that's
cover.
Not
that wasn't it, but it was a reference to the Killing Joke.
It was a reference to the Killing
Joke. Yeah, but that's what I mean,
like
is that it is a controversial
thing.
Yeah.
I want to find that shirt.
Nay. We do have to wrap it up, but before we do, Rabel, is this an essential arc for Batman people to read, or Batman fans to read? Excuse me.
Are you talking about like people being going into Batman?
No, like as in.
Would you consider it a like if people want to read Batman? Would you consider this an essential read? Essentially, you yourself
in the same caliber as like Hush and stuff.
I'm going to say yes, but not as a first read.
Okay.
For me, the first book, if somebody is like, how I want to get into Batman, what comic should I start with? My answer is always going to be you either start with Killing Joke or Arkham Asylum.
Okay, yeah,
those are your kickoff points. From there, do something not Joker related, like you could do Court of Owls. You can do Grant Morris's run with Damian Wayne, and you get to see Leviathan and Ra's al Ghul and all that stuff. Read other stuff and then read this. I won't even say that you need to read Death in the Family, which you should, because it's a really good. I think it's a really good story. But I think that this that Three Jokers does a well enough job where it fills you in on what you need to know in a natural way as the story is going.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to know that Jason Todd died and was beaten to death with a crowbar by Joker, because they show that in this.
Yeah.
And it comes up in conversation in this. You don't really need. I wouldn't say you need to know that he shoots Barbara Gordon, because they show you in flashbacks in this, and they show you her bullet wounds, and they show you all the wheelchairs and stuff like you guys brought up earlier. I would say you need to read Killing Joke first, just because I think this is in a way a continuation of that story.
Okay.
Especially after all the reveals.
I think that pretty much the 3rd issue confirms that it is a kind of like a like you said, like a love letter to Killing Joke.
There you go. I kept saying love story, but love letter is what I meant. I meant love letter. I'm sorry, I kept saying love story.
We get what you meant.
Yeah,
we get what you
love
meant.
Letter. That's what. Those are the words I wanted to use.
Okay,
but didn't.
Perfect. I think that's
Brian and Bros Production. Can you go back and dub love letter
you
every time I say?
He said you
expect me to edit, dude? Come on. I already no. If we can hire an editor, sure, that's fine. But
how much does the job pay?
How much? What are you?
We'll pay you,
buddy. I'm just a producer, okay? I'm a producer, co-host, and editor. All right, I've got like 3 job titles to this.
I wanna be a producer. Sorry.
All right, I think that's a good place to end it.
Definitely.
So first of all, Rabel, thank you for joining us on this first annual of Keeping Up with the Nerds Variety Hour. We appreciate you and the dress up that you had, which is Joker colors.
Yeah.
I know people can't see it, but
you'll see it on the picture.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we'll post the picture on the Instagram prior to announcing this, so or prior to posting this up. So
I usually wear in my day-to-day life, I like to wear button-up collared shirts with ties
and a vest,
and usually a vest. So I walked in today because of the subject matter. I wore a purple shirt and a nice green and blackish tie.
Classic Joker colors. Perfect.
I like long walks on the beach.
All right. So, thank you, Rabel, once again for coming on and sharing.
Anytime, guys.
Yeah, no, we'd love to have you back.
Anytime.
Do you have any?
Invite me back.
Do you want to plug?
Why do you put this pressure on me? Okay,
this
man.
Is fun.
So if I start getting creepy letters, Renee, it was nice knowing you, and it was nice knowing everyone else on this podcast.
Do you want to plug in any Instagrams or?
I don't have
Twitter?
Instagram.
You
I don't
have
like Instagram.
Okay.
I have Facebook.
No, we'll just
I
keep
don't want
plugging
Don't you
you
have a
into the
Disney
podcast.
Instagram? You
Oh yeah. Well,
Thank you.
Yeah, we actually it hasn't been active because Disneyland's been closed.
Doesn't
but
matter. Shout it out.
Me and my girlfriend have a Instagram that we post our cosplay on, not cosplay, Disney bounding. It's honestly it's been so long I don't remember.
I think it's
RL_Disney.
We'll have it down in the link.
Yeah, I'll put it in the description, so there's no need to worry about it. I'll find it.
Renee follows us.
I do.
He can just post the link.
I got you.
Leslie, I know you're listening to this. I'm so sorry I forgot.
To everyone else, thank you guys for listening to this issue of Keeping Up with the Nerds. If you guys are listening to this on Spotify or Podbean, head into the description to click over to our YouTube channel and subscribe over there. We do have Let's Plays and more content coming on the way for our YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. If you're watching this on YouTube, click in the description below to go ahead and follow us on Spotify or Podbean. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video as well. More content on the way. Keep in mind that we are working very hard on future stuff. Follow our socials as well. We do have an Instagram and Twitter, all in the description below.
If you guys enjoyed listening to me join in, make sure you let them know so they can bring me back.
God, why do you put this pressure on me as a producer?
If you didn't enjoy me, don't say anything so I can come back.
I just want all the people that liked me.
I'm going to send you a report card just for that.
Do it.
Your performance.
Do it. I want to know. I want to know how I did.
Well, the listeners will let us know.
They'll let us know. But with that said, you ready to wrap this up, Renee?
Let's do it.
Rabel, don't mess this up, okay? I'm gonna point at you when you're ready to put your name out there. You got it? No, this is a one shot. We're 23 issues in, all right? Yeah. Don't mess this up. Thank you, citizens, for listening to this issue of Keeping Up with the Nerds Variety Hour. This is Brian.
Renee.
Rabel.
Coming to you from 12920 Philadelphia Street, Whittier, California. Recording at Undercity Comics. We thank you, citizens, once again, and hope to see you all next time.